Shannon, how was your week?
It's been fucked, but also it's been mildly to moderately eventful. So like on Tuesdays we try to go out and have drinks at our local pub.
The Spot.
The Spot. It's like I don't even want to say it because I don't want.
No, don't say it. We can't.
I don't want people to. I don't want it to be a thing.
You can't let the haters know.
Yeah. Right. Sorry. Try to find us on Tuesdays.
Yeah, exactly.
I would mention Steve McGiglio, but I can't ever say his name. So
I like
don't
the
want him
idea
showing
of
up.
Maviglio cruising for us on a Tuesday, trying to
just
find
like
out
going to all of the local bars.
Yeah,
but that would mean that he would have to be off of Twitter to do it.
Right, but
outside of his castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're at the Spot.
So I'm at the Spot, and
Tuesday spot.
We get there, and it's like kind of weird. Like the vibe is kind of weird. You can tell that people are like sort of on edge, but I'm just like, give me my fucking gin and tonic. I got to get outside and have a cigarette. So that happens. Go outside, and at a certain point, like, so I'm with Nate, and he's trying to have like a very serious conversation with me about like long-term travel plans that we are trying to make to go to Berlin. And while he
Bist du ein Berliner?
Sure.
Yeah.
So while he's like really getting into it, I was like, shh, I'm ear hustling. And he was like, oh, what?
Ooh.
And so I start like sort of leaning over and like lit a cigarette. And I heard this conversation about how somebody just prior to us arriving had brandished a weapon at the bar, and the new owners of the Rook were called out. I
doubt they brought the Rook.
They didn't bring the Rook, but they brought a lot of fucking cars. Anyway, it really killed the vibe at the bar. I only had
so the bar turned into Cop City while you were there.
They even came into the bar, and like the cop walks up and was like asking for like what, so what happened? And this guy's telling him, and he's like, oh, all right, well, what are you drinking? And I'm just like, oh, fuck this. He then like comes into the bar and like has a seat at the fucking bar table while getting the report info.
Ugh.
I don't know what the fuck.
Please leave my establishment, cop.
Yeah. So I was like the vibe was ruined because they were just everywhere.
Central Grid. So a Central Grid bar on a Tuesday had somebody show up with a gun, potentially, ostensibly.
Yeah. It also sounded like maybe it was like a BB gun and not like whatever. I don't know. The guy.
That was maybe me.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they're looking for you.
I thought I could do that.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing. There was a dog involved. Like there was a no trespass order that was signed. It was a whole thing. Weird night. I go to bed, have a terrible night of sleep, allergic reaction, whatever. That part of the story is boring. Get to work in the morning and just like, I'm not going to make it. Like, I didn't get enough sleep. I cannot do this job on 45
And this is
minutes
Wednesday morning. This is the day we're recording, and you have somehow showed up for this ep. So thank you for that.
Yeah. You know what? I'm a real hero. So you're welcome. JK,
you're welcome, community.
Yeah, I am here for you. So then I like go into my pocket of my jacket because I'm trying to find my cigarettes because I gotta have a fucking cigarette before I go upstairs to do my job. And I pull out, if you're not watching, you don't see it, but this little like round thing. And I was like, oh, it's Dave. So this is my dead uncle. And I was supposed to take him to the post office because I need to mail him to a jeweler in New York. But then
I
the
love
staff
everything about this. So you found your Uncle Dave in your pocket?
Yeah.
So you went drinking with him, right? Was he at the bar with
He may have been, yeah, he was probably at the bar with me. Yeah, which is very cute because he and I used to hang out at the bar a lot. Not
Oh,
that bar, but a bar.
oh my God.
But it's a real way to like bring a certain vibe to a room to
Mhm.
be like, oh, this is my dead uncle. Like, it's also very weird to me that like I can have the conversation about it and not just fall apart, because not a day goes by that I don't fall apart from him being gone. But it's also, I don't know, it's cute. So it's been a fucking week, man.
That's a week. That's
And there's a lot of like vibes being affected in like when I'm around by the police or my dead uncle.
The dead uncle vibe. That's a vibe I'm willing to like. That one sounds like I don't know, like celebratory. He's there with you, but like the gun at our hang. That's a little bit of a problem for me.
Yeah, it's problematic. And also it was like Nate and I were just getting to the point where like, well, we should text and see if like anyone wants to come out. And then it was like, well, no, we just want to go home.
I was seeing Cocaine Bear, so I didn't. I would have been a hard nay on that, as they say in Yugoslavia.
Well, as they say. Well, in Berlin they say 9.
Mm-hmm. Hard 9.
Because I'm getting ready. There's a cat licking his butt.
I wish I knew how to say
me.
hard in German.
You're showing some light pornography in the background, Shannon.
It's just cat smut.
That's some cat smut right there.
You guys are really playing to the lowest common denominator here.
That's the title of the episode now, cat smut. Sorry.
Damn. Well, let's fucking get into it then.
All right, let's start the show.
Voices, the things they said. Voices, some from those dead. All the voices heard. Voices, things we say. Voices, they're in your head. All the voices heard.
Oh, hello everyone. You have Kempa.
And Shannon.
And Evan.
Yeah, we do. No Flo. She's on a beach in Maui. No Skylar. He's working.
He's also on a beach in Maui in his dreams.
In his head. But so excited to have you today, Evan. This is our dear friend of the show, Evan Michael Minton. I don't even know, how do I introduce you? What is your title? What is you came on the show once before, and we discussed the entire time the ADEM elections in the Democratic Party.
Was it?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? And then I stayed like for an hour after, which is probably why you guys thought that I was on for 2 segments.
Yeah, after we stopped recording, we just got to hang with you for an hour and a half. And it was like during like the worst of the pandemic. So like we were really excited to talk with each other.
Okay.
Not that I'm not generally, but
yeah. Because now we're just
trying to get you to get off this
I'm over
show.
Yeah.
But that
invite me on and then just scoot me off like 3 minutes later. Thanks, guys.
That's how we do.
I was just thinking about that because like that episode, it was all about these like very kind of niche elections within the California Democratic Party. But a big part of you and your public persona is that you're a trans rights activist. And I don't think it even came up in that episode that you're trans. Like, so this is going to be a totally different episode. We're going to talk about, the Trans Day of Awareness coming up and some of the attacks that are happening on the trans community. Do you want to do a little intro on yourself real quick before we get into anything?
Yeah, sure. So I was thinking like, how do you describe me? And I guess the most fascinating man in history, is a start. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that's real.
Yeah.
I love the sincerity.
Yeah. Oh, you know how you describe me? A sweet summer child. I had to look that one up, you guys. Okay. No, let's see.
I will, Evan. We call each other that shit all the time, just about every episode.
Oh,
so
I'm not no.
It's a term of endearment. Yeah.
I didn't take it any which way, but I had to look it up. I was like, I guess I have a lot of titles. Some of the ones that pertain to this are I'm the co-chair of the Transgender Advisory Committee for the Democratic National Committee. And I get to co-chair that with Sarah McBride, who is the first openly transgender legislator in our nation's history. And another fantastic historical figure named Marissa. And it is comprised of non-binary and transgender legislators throughout the nation, which is just, it's an honor for me to be able to do that. And then I am also the co-chair of the Lieutenant Governor's Transgender Advisory Council. And then locally, one of the things that I really enjoy doing the most is driving policy forward at the intersection of criminal justice and trans rights and, gender nonconforming rights. And then we also have done some work on sex workers as well. So I do that on the ad hoc LGBTQ plus committee of the Sacramento Police Review Commission. Okay. So a lot of other stuff, but enjoy doing that.
Do you have time to eat meals?
I don't have time to have a life necessarily, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm trying to, but I meditate and I remember that I have a self and I'm always trying to be grounded, but there's always so many fights to wage. And I'm just really inspired to wage them and to be part of them because it's so needed. And so that's what I've determined to do thus far.
I think a lot of people in spaces of activism or things like that, there's kind of an ebb and flow to how much energy they're able and willing to put in. And I've noticed recently that you're more in you're less ebb and more flow in the work that you're just you're fired up. Mm-hmm. So I was really excited to have you on today to talk about some of the things that are going on right now. We're gonna discuss the Trans Day of Awareness, which is this month. It's a little bit later this month, right?
The Trans Day of Visibility. Yeah.
God damn it! Did I just fuck that up again?
Yeah, you're good.
I'm
you're
sorry,
good.
Evan.
Did I just fuck that up again? Yeah, you did.
I did before recording.
Did you hear me not say no? I'm getting better at this.
Honestly, if anyone is ever going to be corrected by a person, it should be Evan because it's so sweet.
I know.
It's yeah, you did.
You fucked up a little.
You fucked up a little,
give you a hug.
But I still love you, and it's gonna be okay.
That's the most loving. Yeah.
You're still in my circle. Yeah, you're still whole.
Oh my God, Trans Day of Visibility.
That's
which
right,
is
you got it.
The end of March. But there's a lot happening here locally, and we wanted to have you on at some point this month. But given everything that's happening right now, I thought it would be good to have you on to kind of provide some perspective and some thoughts as somebody who's really steeped in this issue. As we're seeing some of these far right pushes against really the existence of trans folks in our country. So can we start locally just real quick with, I believe it's on Friday, March 10th. Folks might know that Sacramento is hosting the state Republican Party convention. And this has always been something I enjoyed covering over the years as a leftist, back when there was a newspaper to cover it in, because it's just it's the weirdest people on earth trying to put policy into play and they also have no power in the state. So it's kind of a clown show, but you do get at these events some real bad players, some dangerous players too. The Proud Boys come to these things. And one thing that is happening this Friday, March 10th, on the west steps of the Capitol. I think it's around 1 p.m. Is this group called, oh gosh, what are they called?
I can't remember either.
Not worth my time to know what they're called.
I can't believe I didn't have that written down. Basically, it's run by the far right.
You're talking. Well, I mean, I know what you're talking about, but I don't know their name of their group.
Yeah. So it's run by Jordan Peterson, the far right Canadian talking head, effectively. And then by this young woman named Chloe Cole. I believe she's like 18, 19. And what they are calling this on the 10th, and they planned it purposefully. They admitted this as much on Twitter, to have it alongside the state Republican convention, because the anti-trans movement is part and parcel with the Republican Party these days. So basically, this is a detransition awareness day event, right? Now, this is sort of a interesting topic, and for people who don't know much about this, they might be like, well, that, like, what does that mean? Like, isn't it important that people have the ability to detransition? And it is. It doesn't happen that often. But it is important to have that ability through the medical system. Can you talk to us a little bit about what, like, a detransition awareness day event alongside a Republican Party state convention is really saying, when this Chloe Cole, who has detransitioned, she's gone up on stages with Marjorie Taylor Greene and she's been known to come out and speak alongside Proud Boys, these proto-fascist groups. What is an event like this really?
Well, okay. So for me, I have sympathy for anyone who does something with their own personal body and regrets it, whether it's an abortion and they regret that decision, or whether, they've taken steps in, some form of perhaps a cancer treatment and decided, hey, that's not the cancer treatment that I want to go down. Whether it's something as simple as shaving their head, or whether it's taking a process in a gender, affirming care. But just like so first and foremost, I am an empathetic person. So are most trans people that I know, because of the lived experiences that we have to go through and the way that it stretches and expands us. But at the same time, just like with someone who is actively calling for, like, a person to detransition, if that is even, I don't think that's a medical term, but is just the same as someone who has gotten an abortion and regrets that decision and therefore is fighting so no one else can get an abortion. And so, I obviously abide by bodily autonomy. And so that's it. So I just kind of really want to make that point. Like, you get to do what you want with your own body, and we shouldn't be making rules about what other people can do with their body, even if you've had an experience that you consider negative to yourself.
Yeah. And when we have these conversations, it is important to preface that, be like, you detransitioning, like, this is what you wanted for yourself, and this is important for you, and like that's real, right? Go ahead. There's something just a little concerning with rallies like this, because they seem to be a ruse for something else, right? It seems to be kind of a Trojan horse for anti-trans legislation.
Well, certainly, because when we are it's kind of a new thing, this whole detransition thing. And I'll let you know that, in our trans circles, we have friends who, take steps to transition. I had a friend who took a step to transition and they had to stop. It wasn't because they didn't identify as trans. In fact, they did, but they didn't have the social supports in place. Their partner left them and they weren't comfortable at work. And so they came to me and they said, I'm trans, but I can no longer go forward. And so it's just like, it starts with, in order to allow folks to live their most authentic lives, we've got to have the social and societal supports in place, which we don't.
I shared an LA Times piece with the group that actually said that most people who do, stop their transition process, it has to do more with social pressures than with any like personal preference.
Yeah. And then, let's not get it confused. Like the vast majority of the people who take these steps, it saves their lives. It saved my life, and that's why. And every major medical association says the same. But yeah, no,
Can you explain to folks who don't know? Because I think that folks don't understand what that means, like that it saved your life.
Yeah. Well, just the fact that I discovered who I was, and, each trans person's journey is different. But for me, my body called out for medical intervention. And that was why that hysterectomy, timeline was one of the reasons why it was so important, was because, each trans person, I always say we're like snowflakes, so I'm only speaking from my personal experience. But for me, if I didn't take the next step in my journey, then I would suffer like a lot of anxiety. I would want to crawl out of my body. It would be constant suffering until I was able to take the next step. And then when I took the next step, I would feel a state of bliss. And that was and those were my guideposts that I was on the right journey,
So that was no life for you. It was.
Oh God, no. I wouldn't be alive today if I wasn't able to be my most authentic self. No. And that's a point that I always want to bring up, is that there's a 41% suicide attempt rate in our community, in the trans community. And so, regardless of whether the Republicans are, in the legislature are small enough that they can fit in a minivan or not, like these rallies and the sentiment that they bring, and, the 378 bills that are anti-trans across the nation, which we'll get into later, that doesn't respect state lines. And so it's like, when you're oppressing us, not only is society not built for us as is, but it's just like this extra on top is a lot to bear. And for me, who engages in this fight every day and is a leader in this fight, it's made me go back to places in my childhood that have had to be healed up, and it's just like, it's a lot. It's a lot right now. But anyway, so we were talking about detrans, and that it is a recent phenomenon. And so one of the things that I do in, my volunteer capacities is I engage in passing trans state legislation in California. And, we didn't really have, the other side used to be like the Catholic Conference and stuff like that, the Pacific Justice Institute. But it wasn't like these detrans people themselves. But now we go to these committee hearings and we're hearing from people who say that they're detrans. And I'm worried, because it's just like, At first, I don't want to critique anyone's journey, but it's just like, you shouldn't be, I feel empathetic toward anyone who has had a negative experience in their lives, but that shouldn't make you want to take away rights and protections from the rest of us.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like, Evan, as I'm listening to you talk, one of the things that is so absent, especially from like, in particular, because we're talking about these rallies, is like, as you say, like, you wouldn't be alive today if you couldn't be your most authentic self. And you also hold the space to affirm people's choices as it relates to their bodies, and in particular their gender expression and identity. But that is exactly what's missing at these rallies, right? Like, they're intended to villainize, and they're intended to create these spaces where people identify trans folks as just being like fucked up and like subhuman, right?
Yeah.
Like
that is. Yeah. They wanted, I mean, literally, like this last weekend at the CPAC conference, they said that they wanted to eradicate us.
Right. Yeah.
That's the national level, like conservative political conference.
And the problematic nature of that narrative at a time such as this, when we know that there are like locally, statewide, and nationally so many things that trans folks lives could be impacted by decisions that are made by elected leadership. And then you have folks who are standing side by side, like Marjorie,
Taylor Greene,
with the whole detrans stuff. It's like it is, when the landscape is as it is today, it's incredibly problematic and creates just yet another layer where lives are at stake.
It's scary as fuck, because people are gonna die.
It's culture war nonsense, but there's real stochastic terror that takes place as a result of it. And then on top of this, Evan, as you're talking about today, like, there's all of these bills nationally that are going to endanger young trans folks all throughout the country.
They're coming for the entire trans community, and they're the GOP's messaging, focus groups have somehow found out that the way to best do this is through our trans kids. So they're coming for our trans community through our trans kids, because that's what's most salient with the voters.
Right. Can we talk about this a little? So, and I don't like to like talk about a particular person and their journey, but like Chloe Cole has made herself a public figure, and just like talk about like, it's on her Twitter profile what her timeline was age-wise as far as transition went. And it actually goes a little bit against what I've read to be the standard for transitioning for young folks, for kids. It says on her profile that she took TN blockers at 13. She had a double mastectomy at 15, and then she detransitioned at 16. What I've read from experts in like the LA Times is that usually what takes place, and please correct me, but it's that you take if you want to transition but you're young, you're like 10, 11, 12, like you take puberty blockers early on. And then around 15 or 16, you can start taking the hormones you prefer. And then no surgery happens usually until you're 18.
Yeah. No, that's the typical way. But I think when we're talking about one individual and their quest against us, we're losing the real world reality, and so it's just like, I don't want this to be the you know, I don't even want to say their name. I don't want it to be that person, the Evan show. You know, I don't want this to be set up as a debate between me and that person. Like, I respect their journey. I wish that they weren't out to, you know, to eliminate trans folks or our rights and protections. But it's just like, I respect whatever journey they had to take. And I'm sorry if this wasn't right for them. Still, I don't want them to, you know, they don't have a right to take away any protections for us.
This is the most Evan answer that I could have asked for. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
But see, the real world is parents in the, you know, I mean, you know, I'm working with the Sac City Unified School District right now. And I mean, they're really affirming, but it's like the real world is parents in our local school districts calling me, telling me that their kid has to hold their pee all day because like there's a stigma to them going to the restroom, you know, like, and you know, you get kidney infections, you get diseases from doing that, you know, like the real world is, you know, parents letting me know that, you know, they're afraid of their kids, you know, going on field trips where they're going to get into like gender segregated facilities where it's going to like wreak havoc on their kids' self-esteem. The real world is, you know, like parents letting me know that that a kid is afraid to go to an after-school program because they got their pronouns messed up one time. You know, I mean, this is taking place here. The real world is one of my friends, a highly decorated individual. When they walk outside, they get mistaken for a sex worker just because they're trans, you know, and that's here in Sacramento. It's me having fought my lawsuit against Dignity Health, and I created a national precedent in which it is, you know, and it's illegal here in California to deny trans people care. You can you can sue a hospital, right. You know, but it's not illegal in California to deny trans people care like Dignity Health continues to do.
Folks, look up Evan. He took this all the way to the Supreme Court and beat him.
United States Supreme Court, yeah. Check, yeah.
Check.
No, I was going to share a story though. You know, and I was talking to, shout out to Nikki Pichelle, who's doing a lot of great work who's a friend of the show, who is doing a lot of great work with me locally here. But I want to explain, because, you know, before trans people came into, you know, like all of these attacks happened upon us. If you don't mind me backing up just a little bit, and I'm sorry, I'm taking over and doing a lecture here. So.
This is what we wanted today.
Okay, trans people taking space. Yeah,
you know, I mean, the only reason I brought up just before you do that, you know, this person and her journey is because this appears to be the legislation focus of the Republican Party. It's at what age we can and can't, we do and do not allow somebody to take these steps in their transition. And that to me seems concerning, you know?
No, I mean, absolutely it is. It's like based on like a person's anecdotal evidence, or, you know, versus entire bodies of research and conclusions from every major medical association.
For decades.
So, yeah.
Decades of work on this.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, I mean, I'm in absolute agreement, but it's just like, but anyway, moving on. So, you know, I believe it was the New York Times before they became, I mean, that's another issue altogether, but entirely regressive, you know, digging up old arguments. But when Trump left office, they said succinctly, you know, Trump attacked the trans community in every way imaginable. And what hurt, besides that actual harm, was that, you know, so many other communities were being attacked. So I understand it. But that no one else seemed to notice outside of our community. And it was horrible. It was horrendous, and it was gut wrenching. And the thing is that after Trump left office, the attacks haven't eased up on the trans community. And in fact, they've increased. And so, but I remember during Trump's period in office, I worked in progressive circles. And so I was just trying to get people to write their damn pronouns into their Zoom, things. And I would honestly just like have to shake the shoulders of like progressives, being like, that's the least you can do,
I feel
but
like
it was just
progressives out east still don't do it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know the difference, but it's just like, and then I thought I kind of gave up that fight, but I just realized like, progressives, I appreciate some of the allyship. The allyship needs to get better. Here's a story of a lived experience. To quote Kamala Harris, the person was me. So I've only shared this once. It was in front of Congress. This is my second time sharing it, but I thought maybe I would share it with you guys because it's a safe audience. And this is just to take you closer into the life of a trans person. Following my phalloplasty surgery, which is the creation of a penis, I had issues with my catheter, and the catheter wouldn't stay in place. How funny. All of your shows include pee, but my story does as well. But anyway, when a catheter doesn't, like when it doesn't
I wear that badge proudly, Evan.
Yeah. That's what the show will be called. All of our stories include pee. Yeah. But like,
Voices Urine City.
Yeah. But anyway, the catheter wouldn't stay in place, and so it was an emergency. And I went to the nearest urgent care and to get it treated, and they let me know, we don't treat that, but you should go to the emergency room right now. And they said the closest one is over there, and they pointed across the parking lot. And I looked across the parking lot, and it was Dignity Health. And of course it's Dignity Health because that's one of the largest in the state and one of the largest in the nation of our healthcare providers.
Right.
And I was like, they don't recognize my existence as a human. I'm not going to go in those doors.
And again, listeners, this is the medical organization that denied Evan a hysterectomy probably years before.
And so I called my surgeon on my cell phone, and I explained the situation. And then I went into the urgent care again, and I asked them for a pair of scissors, and I found the nearest public restroom, and I put my surgeon on speakerphone, and I performed the surgery on myself. And that's where your guys' horror should set in.
Oh, it's set in.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, these are the drastic steps in which someone has taken in order to continue to affirm their own identity in the face of the tidal wave of discrimination in which us trans folks have to travel around in. And, I live in Midtown, and every single time I go to the co-op, like I pass the Dignity Health, a Dignity Health hospital, and it's just like, so my friend is treated as a sex worker every time they go outside of their apartment. I pass a Dignity Health hospital every single time I go to the grocery store. These trans, kids, their parents are calling me, in our local school districts. And so it's just like, we're looking at the rest of the nation. I got a presentation in my capacity at the Democratic National Committee, and that was about a month ago. And back then it was like around 250 bills that were anti-trans. And in the course of a month, it went up by over 100 bills. And so it's just like, this is what's facing the trans community right now. And so it's just like, the the California GOP the detrans rally is like the icing on the cake and like the kick, in the pants or whatever, it's just like,
Yeah. So I'm sorry, Evan, I didn't know this. Wow. Are you okay now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go to hell and back a million times without being like so incredibly strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, this is like, we've had these conversations on the show a number of times that I think bring up just the complete or like the incredible amount of empathy that is just not available or accessible to people because of, like we're saying, like this is like culture war stuff, but the issue here is like you're in a medical facility, right, where they're supposed to be caring for you, for your body, and you are denied that, and the implication of that is so much, right? And obviously, like, you are keenly aware of that, having lived through it. I think that the thing that comes up for me is it is this like absence of empathy has created these groups of people who are so strong and so resilient, but fuck, you shouldn't have to be, right? The amount of energy that you have to use to be strong and to be resilient and to get up every day and like continue to fight and amplify the experiences of people who you advocate for. Like, imagine what that amount of energy could do, like in different kinds of spaces, right? If like you didn't have to fight for just like to just be seen as a fucking human being who needs medical care. Like,
Yeah. No, I always say that trans people are resilient, but we shouldn't have to be, and that can be said for, obviously so many different communities.
Oh, sure.
But,
yeah.
But it's like, I always, when I first met, the lieutenant governor, like that's how I said it. And it's like, trans people are resilient, but we shouldn't have to be,
Yeah.
I know a number of trans folks who are unapologetically militant, and I understand it. How do you not understand it when it just seems like folks are under attack regularly, Yeah. Well, there is a counter demonstration on I believe Friday, March 10th. I know that I believe it's Pride Was a Riot Sacramento is sort of the group putting it on. I think they are meeting in Southside Park in the morning. They're having sort of a celebration of trans life and what it means to be trans there. And then I think folks are moving down to counter protest this detransition quote unquote rally. So folks, tune into Pride Was a Riot Sacramento if you're interested in that. And if you're journalism friends, again, we were just talking about the danger folks in this community are under. They do not want you to take their photo. They would prefer no media there. Just a heads up on all of that. So take that as you will, friends in media. And I guess, can we just talk about one more thing locally that's going on? That next week, I believe Tuesday, so that'll be March.
Can I talk about the efforts that I'm engaged in on the trans state visibility, or is there not enough time?
Oh, no. I will definitely do that. If you want to do that now, we can.
Oh, no, it's all good. I just wasn't sure when to. But everyone should follow Trans Was a Riot. They're doing great work here in Sacramento.
Pride was a riot.
Oh, just kidding. Yeah.
I got to correct you.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dang. Oh,
touche. Yeah.
But yeah. I mean, basically, folks, there's another far right terrible person coming to UC Davis on the 14th, and we'll cover that in a second here. And like, if you want to go out and show out and make sure that they know they're not welcome, awesome. Stick around for a few minutes. Evan, tell me about the work you're doing.
Oh, no. I thought we were ending the episode, and I was like, I want to get this in real quick.
Oh, hey, I'm the episode ender here. Like, we've got time.
You're talking about that horrible human being. Oh, feel free to say that before or after.
We've got plenty of more Evan time here. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so March 14th, this guy, Charlie Kirk from Tea Party USA, that's the name of the organization. He's no one special. His dad basically like built something of Trump's towers or something, and then he started this political thing. But it's basically this kind of white nationalist for younger Gen X, older Gen Z groups. He is doing a talk, Charlie Kirk at UC Davis next week, Tuesday, and folks are being asked to do two things. One, to reach out to Chancellor May of UC Davis and say, hey, he's not welcome there. You don't need to support the fact that he's going to be there. And please don't. Two being show up and let him know he's not welcome. You know, folks did this for Milo Yiannopoulos when he came to UC Davis, and that spelled the beginning of the end of his political career. So I kind of get that. I think that there's a lot of and I've been convinced of this over the years. You know, I used to be a Amendment 1 absolutist, you know, like free speech through and through, no matter what direction. But, you know, you look at some European countries and you see like, oh, no, you can just outlaw white supremacy and like you still have a free nation, you know. So anyway, I would recommend for folks to go out there. You know, Charlie Kirk had somewhat recently said, quote, that regarding trans people, that someone should have just took care of it the way we used to take care of things in the 1950s. I think he means lynching, right? Like that's what these are his positions on trans folks are. And we need to ask ourselves, are they welcome in our academic settings? Are they welcome in our city at fucking all?
That should never be welcome on a college campus.
No, fuck that shit.
So yeah, Evan, do you have any thoughts on Charlie Kirk coming out here?
Just, you know, for the people that go protest them, don't allow anyone to tell you you're being a snowflake when they're banning books and banning drag shows because they can't handle that. Godspeed.
Godspeed. Yeah. Expect Proud Boys at both of these events too, you know.
And be safe. Yeah.
Yeah. Be water, as it were, if that is what you're going to dress up to do. But like, I don't know. I look at this stuff happening locally and it startles me. And you
did you hear about that drag show that was canceled? Did you hear that? Yeah.
Where?
In Roseville, right? Shannon?
Okay.
I know it was Placer County. I don't know exactly. I don't know what city, but yeah, it was because of the Proud Boys. And, you know, I mean, this is like the thing, you get on their fucking radar and then all of a sudden, I mean, here's a story time or a drag show or any of that, like being canceled for fear of safety makes perfect sense. Like safety first, like protect our trans folks, our trans community at all costs, for sure. But it just like fucking sucks that you get on like the radar of these folks and all of a sudden, like, it's not, you know, it's not just like Twitter bashing or like social media bashing, but it is an actual like additional layer of fear for folks' lives when already just like it stepping out of your house as a trans person today is a safety risk.
Yeah, the struggle is already, I mean, like, it's just like so heavily quoted, but the struggle is already real, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, and then it is like safety risks. Yeah.
And just like, I think, you know, I don't know. I am not a sweet summer child, so it's hard for me to like take on that lens, but there is a part of me that's like, how do you, I don't know what it's like to exit my home every day and wonder if I am going to be safe. Like, have I feared for my safety? Certainly, but not in the same way that like, and I don't even necessarily know if that is like an exercise that needs to be taken up, but it is to say that I think many of us don't understand the intensity of the issue and the weight of it. And as like as an ally, it is our job, I think, to amplify that, to call for support, both like emotional and physical, like hold space and take, you know, be the person who takes up space when safety is concerned, but otherwise give the space to trans folks. And now, especially because of the discourse and just like the completely fucked up shit that you find online, like get onto your socials, and especially places like Facebook where like that conservative bullshit really does sort of, it's just like, it is a plague.
It's a breeding ground there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Get out there and like be the person who says that you give a shit and that we need to be allies and accomplices in the trans community, because like, y'all shouldn't have to be doing all of the work alone.
Yeah, no.
When your lives are under attack.
No, I appreciate that. And I mean, I want to also be like lift, you know, Shannon, I know that, you know, there's safety risks in being a woman in society and stuff like that. So I also want to like acknowledge, you know, like that there are, you know, risks that you have to, you know, that you have to live with, you know, and I want to also acknowledge that. So, I mean, you know, I just want to just like, I don't know how that fits in, you know.
You are the model human being.
I know. Evan is incredible.
That is, you know, like if we could all just live in a space.
This is how we talk about you, Evan, all the time. We're just like, Evan is incredible.
I just can't like, I don't know. There is something remarkable about like sharing space with you, Evan, and knowing just a sliver of the challenges that you have endured and continue to endure, and, you know, the fires that you are tending to all over, period, and that you can still find like that empathy is, and, you know, I mean, I could go on and on and be mushy, but that's not like my vibe.
So yeah, that's not you at all.
I'm killing your image here, Shannon.
You know, I want to give some time for the cool things you're doing right now. You know, I talk a lot about how we are in an ecosystem, and that some folks do some things on one side of the movement, other folks do things on the other side of the movement. You know, as far as the movement goes, you are pushing forward on a couple of things that I think people would want to know about, and I want to hear about them, and I think listeners do, and let us know what they are and how we can be a part of it.
Yeah, no, I super appreciate that. And I totally understand, like, the ecosystem, and, and I know that I'm more of like the government and the systems change, and, and I feel like there's a place for everything. And I'm supportive of like all efforts. So, as we're sitting here, I'm like, well, what should I say? Cause I don't know if, some of these things actually should be revealed for fear of safety. But I will say that they're like, we've never celebrated Trans Day of Visibility, before in our local like governments and stuff like that. And after, I don't know if I told you guys, but when in my capacity as in the DNC, I requested a presentation of all of the anti-trans bills. And after that, like, I felt I just felt it was like, be careful what you wish for, because it was just so overwhelming. And I had two thoughts while I was watching it. And one of the thoughts was, endless gratitude for the person who had to put it together because it was a trans person. And then the second thought was, I need to get this information out as widely as possible. So, I mean, honestly, thank you for having me on the show. And so I was like, how in the freaking world am I going to do this? And so I felt like such a burden for like on my shoulders for a few weeks. And I was just talking to a couple people about it. And we were like massaging plans, and then I realized that we could celebrate it here locally, Trans Day of Visibility, and do it in very cool ways. And, that we'll recognize the day officially on different levels where it matters. And so we're going to do it at the, micro level in terms of protecting our kids. And we're going to do it at the city level. And I'll give a shout out right now to friend of the show, Councilmember Kaplan. She's a friend of mine. And she'll get a kick out of that also. and who's gonna do something cool. And then we're also doing some work with the legislature. I created little pins that the legislators will wear, and some folks in like the labor movement and stuff, and it says trans people belong, which I think is just one of the greatest messages.
Perfect.
And then I also made inroads with the governor's office, and they haven't celebrated this day before. And so they said that they will celebrate this day. And then I reached out to my congressperson, Matsui. Glenda Corcoran is her district director, and, just is a very with it on it person. And she is absolutely behind me trying to get, some recognition of the day. So, they'll be doing something. And then I reached out to the SACB and asked them to write an article about the day, especially countering the New York Times and their regressive, reporting.
We didn't cover this today, but the New York Times has had some real issues in the last couple months on their coverage on trans issues.
Yeah. And it's like to the point that Ohio state legislators, when they're passing anti-trans bills, will quote the New York Times as their source.
Right.
They'll cite them. And so the SACB immediately said yes and said, would you like to write an op-ed? So I'm very happy to be doing that. And then there might be some other things, but it's just it's going to be really cool. And it's just it made me feel good, because what began as just this burden feeling of what in the H are we going to do has turned into a lot of positive momentum. And I just appreciate the green lights that people have given me and like the support that people have given me. So thank you to like Nikki Paschal, who's doing a lot of this, and she's doing it all pro bono. Christina Bass Hamilton is going to do some work. And then friend of the show, Mayor Steinberg, friend of the show, Councilmember Kaplan. Yeah.
Oh, you're killing me. You're fucking killing me, Evan.
And yeah, and then
what
I have
in the H are you talking about?
What
I know this will be the last time that I'm welcome on the show. Yeah.
Oh,
and then I have some action steps for people, if that's okay.
Oh, you're ahead of the
Absolutely.
game. I was just gonna ask what the action steps are.
Okay. So we're gonna have so on March, I mean, it's so funny because like I'm speaking to like anarchists, but like that's like your audience.
It's a healthy conglomerate of progressive socialists, communists, and anarchists.
Okay.
And then just like journalists who want to know what we're doing on our side of things.
Well, for any of the democratic socialists, which is I think is as far right as your listeners go, goodness bless you guys because I'm a listener too. On March 27th, that's the day of social media where we're going to be having, like lots of people wear those pins. If you could retweet, when you see the celebrations and stuff like that, that would be really cool. So that'll be like legislators wearing the pins and stuff like that. I want to say push for trans people at decision-making tables. No one should be making, whether it's the person who we talked about at the beginning of the episode or any supposed ally of us, no one should be making decisions about us or our bodies except for us. And so push for strong progressive trans people at every decision-making table. And then there's this really amazing person who is on Twitter that is keeps the trans community updated about all of the legislation and laws around trans stuff, and their handle is Erin in the Morn. It's ERIN in the Morn. And
MORN or MOURN?
Oh no, that would either one would be app, but MORN.
Okay.
And then as Shannon was saying, just speak out because right now we're the canary in the coal mine, but it's just like the CPAC said like they want to eradicate trans people from public life, and it's just like I mean they're gonna have to cross my dead body before they do that.
I don't know how else you can illustrate the urgency here. Like when you hear shit like that.
Yeah. However, if they're able to do that, they're not going to stop there. So speak out.
Yeah.
Evan, you are such a joy. I'm so glad we got to have you on again today. Is there anything else we want to add? I think that was all a really good call to action. But anything else at all, just generally you want to add?
Sorry, my alarm is messing this up. I think we're going to have to do this entire show all over again.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that's correct, right?
Oh my gosh.
Let's
know. We can end it with me saying you're an absolute joy and then just saying thank you for coming on. Is it still recording or no?
It's still recording. Yeah, no. My alarm on my phone went off for a second.
Thank God. Oh my
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't see Evan made a funny face.
Yeah.
I got scared.
No, I just, thank you for giving me this space.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just like an incredibly important issue. It is. I want to say, Kempa? Yes.
I'm sorry. I was talking to someone because I'm fighting so much in the here and now, and they told me they're not part of the community, but they told me, they were like, yeah, come the 2024 presidential elections, trans kids are going to be made to feel real bad about themselves. And Mike Pence, like, his first campaign commercials were in some early primary state, and they were, about, how trans kids are bad or whatever. And so again, it's going to be, we're going to lose lives. Another thing that I'm facing is I'm working at the DNC to combat the messaging and to try to provide Democrats who are willing to do it, give them messaging, around all of this. And so it's just like, we've seen it this last weekend with CPAC, the conservative conference, but we're going to continue to see it, and we're going to continue to see it. And I don't understand why it's up to people like me to be at the lead of this, because when I talk, I'm talking trash now, but it's like,
oh no, talk some shit.
I mean, it's just like,
I love shit talking.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I guess it's just like, maybe it's imposter syndrome, but it's just like, I was expecting there to be preparation before I brought up that notion. And I was expecting it not to be me, the one that was going to put preparation together. I'm going to do it because it needs to be done. But it's just like, I didn't realize that, I'm going to be on the front lines. And it's not just like in our region and our state, but it's going to be in the nation as well. And
that's fucking scary.
Yeah. Like that it's like fucking me. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. And so whether it's behind the scenes or in front, like, I mean, I'm just going to, yeah. And
are you
then
asking
I guess
for more allies on the national level to speak or...
Well, I don't know if I'm going to be speaking on the front lines, but I'm going to be fighting and trying to give the resources and stuff like that, and trying to create messengers and stuff like that. So it's not me and the public, but it's just like, how am I the one arranging all of this? Like I just wouldn't have thought that it was going to be me, And then I think the final thought I want to end with is like, call on your trans friends. Call on your non-binary friends, call on your trans plus umbrella friends, and make sure that they're doing okay.
Mm. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Evan, thank you so much. I love this because I didn't want it. I didn't think it would be an Evan episode if we didn't go a few minutes over, and we have, and I love it. I know you. We've all hung out with you, and we've all talked way too long into the night. So I'm excited to have had you today. But no, I mean, such an important topic, and you're an expert. I met you. Do you remember that I met you through that story? The Dignity Health story. Like,
my memory doesn't serve me well, Kempa.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't serve me well. Can you
fucking rude, but all right.
Should I have faked it? No, go on. I'm not a good faker.
Have said, yes, I totally remember.
We had
such a great time. Should I, Shannon?
Like it was yesterday.
No, it's not you.
No, I don't
you
care.
To fake it.
It's
Kempa, you're my good friend now.
But I know, I get it. I am.
Yeah.
But like, that's how I first met you.
He feels bad, Shannon. What do I do?
I wrote a piece in the News and Review like years ago.
No, I remember that.
Okay.
Oh, you were the author of that, Kempa. I'm so sorry.
I was, yeah.
Okay. I remember that.
Name.
No, I mean, it was a big deal to me, but
that's how we first talked or interacted. And then like, you've been doing all this other crazy, amazing work throughout the years. And so like, it's been fun to like keep up with you. So I don't know, just a joy to have you on. Shannon, how you feeling over there with that beer?
Man, I didn't even want this fucking beer. Okay.
I can't believe you had a beer.
But the reason that I opened it is because it's like a force of habit to have a drink when we're recording this show.
I do too. This is wine right here.
Well, and this is not like a beer that I feel good about just like having it, just being like, I'll, I don't want, I'm not going to abuse alcohol by pouring it down the sink.
That's
so
abuse.
I drank it and it's good, but
no, I understand the different
I didn't want it.
Skills of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You know what? If
Evan, you stayed sober as a judge this episode.
Well, I know.
You know what we need? What we need is to have a like a live voices recording at a bar with Evan.
I love the sound of this.
Just having some drinks. And also we can then work out the app where Evan just speaks like positive affirmations, and depending on what you need at any given moment,
we'll have like a little alarm every 5 minutes for Evan to give an affirmation.
Yeah, but I want the app that I can open at any given moment, like throughout my day. And like if I'm just having a fucked day, then I click the like Evan say something nice to me button, and then Evan's like, Shannon, you are so good at what you do. Keep it up. Then I'm just like, fuck yeah, I am. Shit. Yeah. Thanks, Evan.
Fucking thanks, Evan. Wow.
Totally willing to do that.
This is the kind of person we view you as. Just a shining light in the community.
Just a beacon, the last beacon of empathy in the world.
Well,
thank you for coming on. I think we should call it.
Yeah, we should. We're going to be here for 2 hours if we don't.
But wonderful to have you. And folks, go. Either do things the nice way or do it the not nice way, but make sure that we're protecting our trans community.
Say that.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.